Okay, I think we're live here on Jessica Perez-Beebe Facebook page. Oh my gosh, happy Friday, everybody. I got to tell you, I am so excited to be live here on this page, and I'm excited to see who's going to join live, who's going to watch the replay. And why I'm excited, number one, this is the first time I've gone live on this page in the new year in 2020 and actually most of 2019 because I've been delivering all of my messages, all of my content inside of my private groups, which is where I still go live regularly. It's where I still do all my free trainings and so on. And before the end of this live, I will type that link in the comments. If you like what you're listening to today, and you'd like to come and join us inside there. But for now, let me just reacquaint myself with you. I know that you've been following me here. We post regularly. You see me maybe over on Instagram, and some of you are in the group. But what I want to start doing is coming in here weekly and letting you get to know me a little bit better, right? So that if you like what you're hearing and you really resonate with the message that I'm delivering, then like I said, you can come over and get more of that inside the group, or you can reach out to me and my team, and we can talk about how we can support you further. So I'm Jessica Perez-Beebe. You're here on my Facebook page, and I often work with successful people, right? Successful leaders, business owners, executives, athletes, any successful person who is really good at what they do, right? So from the outside, they look successful, and they are by most people's standards, right? But listen up, because if this is you, it's going to click instantly. You look like you're a 10 on the outside, right? But on the inside, you know that you haven't even scratched the surface of your capabilities, of what you are actually capable of achieving. And you know you could be better than good. You know you could be great, right? And I truly believe that the difference between a good leader, a good entrepreneur, a good business owner, a good athlete, a good executive is the difference between good and great is what I call a pro mindset, an athlete mindset, a pro athlete mindset. That's what we're going to talk about today. And that really means having and developing the habits, the thought patterns, the visualizations, the manifestations that actually make or break performance, right? So performance in anything that you do. I'm a pro athlete. I'm also a successful entrepreneur. So having these two things in combination really has been the secret to my success and to the success I'm able to help my clients have. And I truly do know that, listen, it's the difference between being an amateur and being a pro, right? Great leaders are not amateurs. At some point along the lines, we have made the conscious decision to go pro in our thinking, to go pro in our habits, to go pro in the way that we show up, in the way that we interact with people, in the way that we keep ourselves accountable, right? You're the big league thinkers, the big league visionaries who work your mind just as much as you work your business. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, right? You know that it's here that all the magic happens, right? So the leaders who seek the mental discipline of a pro athlete, you're the kind of leader that's ready for me. What I do is I help you lift your mindset from amateur to pro, and we really provide, myself and my team, a community that keeps you challenged and accountable. Because listen, I know what it's like to be the most ambitious person in your group, in your community. So you're always inspiring everybody else, right? You're always motivating them. You are the example. But at the end of the day, who is holding you accountable to something even higher, right? Who is challenging you? Driven people need to be challenged. We need to be challenged. If we're not challenged, we become self-destructive. We hit that wall and we start wondering, like, what's wrong? What else is there? And if you're feeling any of that, it's because you haven't connected with a community or a leader who can help inspire you bigger. Okay, so here is what I want to talk to all you successful leaders out there about today. It's a topic that I have studied. It's a topic that I've put into practice and that I also teach very extensively. And it is your brain. Your brain. not just your mindset. I know mindset seems to be a buzzword, but I'm talking about your brain, your actual physical brain. The truth is, I used to avoid talking about mindset and manifesting because it comes across very woo-woo, right? I'm not a woo person at all. I am grounded and I'm very practical. And the most practical truth that I have realized as a successful entrepreneur across 3 industries in 15 years, as a coach for over 12 years, and as a professional athlete, what I have found to be the most practical truth is that your ability to use your mind, to use your brain, to manifest, to create the experience that you desire is very practical. It's very practical. You even will read it in the Bible. I'm very spiritual. I read the Bible all the time. I grew up in church and then got away from religion and all of that. But I love going to the Bible for truths, for inspiration, right? For guides. And one of the things that's over and over again in the Bible is about the way that you think, right? The mind governed by the flesh is death. This is one of my favorite verses. The mind governed by the flesh, not just your body, but everything in your day-to-day life, material things, right? The mind governed by the flesh is death. But the mind governed by the spirit, right? The spirit, and that's what we tap into, is life and peace, right? So I look at that verse as when you let external factors, circumstances, pain, reality, when you let those things govern your life and make decisions for you and keep you like small, holding back, right? All those fears, because fears come from the external, from the flesh, right? When you let those things manage you, when you let those things dictate what you do and don't do, how far you aspire to, that's when you actually suffer, right? That's what that phrase is saying. The mind governed by flesh is death, right? But when you can tap into the spirit of your mind, when you can tap into a higher purpose for yourself, when you can tap into your connection to spirit, to God, whatever that is for you, this is not a religious thing. When you can operate from that place, that is when you really step into excelling, to really lifting your expectations, to really lifting your experience, to really lifting the joy that you experience along the way, right? And this is something that athletes have mastered forever. And I'm going to give you an example of it. But another thing that I read in the Bible has to do with not copying the behavior and the customs of the world. It is so easy for us to get in this trap of like mediocrity. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Most people are living mediocre, average or below average lives, just kind of getting by and being dictated and being controlled by their circumstances, right? If somebody agrees with them, it's a good day, right? If your kids behave, if your husband is nice to you, it's a good day. But if any of those things are off course, then you feel victim to your circumstances. And that is a suffering way to live, right? If you are someone who wants to have an exceptional life, especially if you're out there in some way being a leader. And I hope that you are, if you're following me, because you're the person that I work with. If you're out there being a leader, you cannot lead from a place of being controlled by your emotions, being controlled by circumstances. Do you get this? If you get this, let me know. Put a comment, give me a like, engage with me. I want to know that this is making sense for you. So the Bible says, do not copy the behavior and customs of the world. Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. That is what I love, by changing the way that you think, right? So you're being challenged to change the way you think, because regardless of how many times you, let's say, like read the Bible, you meditate, you pick cards, you set goals, you set aspirations, right? You go on a diet, no matter how many times you do all of those things, and you know this because you've experienced it, if you haven't changed the way you actually think on a daily basis, my clients hear me say this all the time because it's so true. And I actually give them tools to interrupt negative thought patterns or patterns that take them down a toxic autopilot path. So you can learn tools to actually do this. But until you do that, until you practice it, until you make the way that you think and the thoughts that you choose and the thoughts that you release and do not choose, until you do that in your life and you become really good at it, all of those promises, all of those goals, all of those aspirations, all of those good intentions, they don't get far. And they leave you exhausted. They leave you overwhelmed. They leave you constantly starting over again. That is a brutal way to live. And I know because I've been there, right? So I know I gave you examples about, this is in the Bible. It's also science, right? It's also science. So one person that I study, and you can go look her up, is Dr. Leaf. I think it's Catherine Leaf Dr. Leaf. And she's a neuroscientist. I love her work. She does all this stuff about the effects of prayer on the brain, but mostly what she's talking about and what she has proven in all of her research is that as we think, we change the physical nature of our brain. Isn't that that is so powerful? As we think, and whatever we think, we are actually changing the physical nature, the structure of our brain. So as we consciously direct our thinking, we can actually wire out. This is how I teach thought interruption, pattern interruption, and then I teach how to replace and reprogram thoughts. She says we can actually wire out toxic patterns of thinking and replace them with healthy thoughts. I mean, come on. Does that not renew your energy, your spirit, your excitement for what's possible for you? So here, I'm using her words right now, paraphrasing her words. She says, what you think with your mind changes your brain and changes your body. And you are designed, you're actually designed. We are designed as humans by God, by creation, with the power to switch on our brain. It's a switch. It's a switch. I often get this question Jessica, how do you keep hitting these goals and these big transformations? You've had these dramatic transformations in health, in wealth, in relationships, in just so many things. How do you do that? And the only way I can explain it is when I started to learn how to switch on and off these thought patterns, what I now liken it to is I plug in. Right? Have you ever had that experience where it's and this is something that has really served me as an athlete and that I realize all athletes have in common. It's you plug in. Some people call it getting in the zone. Have you ever been in the zone with something, whether you're running, whether it's a sport, whether you're at the gym lifting weights like I do for my sport, whether it's just your art, right? You're painting, anything. When you get in that zone, you are actually plugging in. You're turning on a switch and you're directing where your energy goes. You actually have the ability to do that every single day in every moment. You have an extraordinary ability to determine, to achieve, and to maintain optimal levels of intelligence, of mental health, of spiritual health, of peace, right? Disease prevention. You all know someone or have heard of someone who has healed themselves through their thoughts, right? Through the medical doctors can't explain how they've been cured, right? That's how powerful your mind is. That's how powerful your brain is. And when you can start to think, this was so freeing for me. When you can start to think of it as starting to have a relationship, an active relationship with your mind, right? As opposed to things are just happening and you're in reactionary mode. When you can think about it as having an active relationship with your brain, with your mind, then think about how just how beautiful that feels, how interactive, right? It's you're not separate. It's not just there and you have to react to it. You actually can be in relationship with it. help to change it, help to mold it, help to heal it, right? So that is a really powerful realization to have. If that's landing with you right now, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, let me know. What does it feel like right now in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, to look at the brain as something you can have a relationship with? Through conscious effort, you can actually gain control of your thoughts, you can gain control of your feelings, and in doing so, you can change the programming, the chemistry of your brain. This is not coming from me. This is coming from proven science. And what I know in the 20 plus years that I've been studying the brain, that I've been studying quantum physics, anything related to the mind, I love to consume. And I've been applying in my life. And I'm telling you, there is no other explanation for the transformations that I've been able to experience in my life and direct, right, through the goals that I've been able to see before I actually achieve them, through the way that I've been able to teach my clients this, that I've been able to incorporate it in my family. There's no other explanation but for this, and of course the grace of God, right? So this is something that I'm really passionate about, right? This is why what we are thinking and consuming mentally on a daily basis through conversations with people, this is why the company you keep is of utmost importance. Think about whatever aspiration you have. Think about whatever area of your life you want to change, whether it's an addiction, whether it's your relationship with money, whether it's your relationship with God, or your personal relationships, whether it's your career, like whatever it is you aspire to really leveling up in, you've got to be really careful the company that you keep. What are those people saying about what is and isn't possible? Have those people achieved that, or are they at least pursuing it? Listen, one of the biggest difference makers in my life, starting from a young age, is when I started to make a conscious decision about who I would allow in my circle, who I started setting boundaries with, who I loved from afar, but would not allow to permeate my mind. Who you allow to influence your mind and what you allow to influence your mind it matters. It matters big time because it imprints, right? Think about everything that you've brought into adulthood from childhood. Yes, those things can be reshaped and changed with a lot of work and with constant attention to it, right? But right now as an adult, you get to make a conscious choice in every single moment about what you will let in, not just through conversations with people, books, social media, the videos that you watch, the TV that you consume, news, right? And especially about what you, my friend, are telling yourself on a repetitive basis, how you are talking to yourself. It all matters more than almost anything because of how repetitive it is, right? It's the repetition of the thoughts that you choose. We have thoughts coming in all the time. You get to sift and choose which ones you want to give more attention to, right? Tony Robbins teaches that when, like, we have emotion, right? Emotion doesn't come out of anywhere. We actually choose our emotions. We go to our emotions by what we decide to think about. Depression doesn't come out of anywhere. We're going to the emotion, the feeling, the physical attributes of depression based on what we're thinking about on a repetitive basis, right? Same thing with joy and happiness. It's the thoughts that actually lead to that. So that's why choosing your thoughts is the first step, okay? It matters. Now, if you're freaking out about this, like, oh my God, I've been thinking this or I've been thinking that. Listen, the good news is you alone have the power to choose what goes in and what you allow to go out, right? You actually can learn to interrupt thoughts and beliefs that have been on autopilot. Most of our thoughts have been on autopilot, right? So you can learn how to interrupt these things. You can learn the tools. This is what I teach on a daily basis. I see people regularly just have huge breakthroughs around this and go on to have better relationships, better careers, all of that, right? in my group program, we just graduated a group this week, and they are certified mindset coaches. They're going out into the world to start teaching my method with their clients. And I'm telling you, in those 9 months, night and day difference. And now they get to go out and practice it on a regular basis. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because you get to know that you're not stuck with how you've been thinking all these years leading up to where you are. None of us are stuck with anything. That's the beautiful thing of this life. We have free will. We have choice in every single moment. Isn't that like just so freeing? We have choice. We can always make a new choice. Okay. So I've been a practitioner of this work for more than 20 years, meaning studying it, consuming it, and practicing it. And so I know that it works. We interrupt patterns, right? Around doubts, around fears, around negative habits, and we can replace them with what we want to see. The visualization piece, the manifestation piece of what you want to become your reality. Wow, I'm telling you, there is so much power in that. You know, every athlete visualizes first what they want to see happen on the field, on the stage, whatever it is. It happens up here before it ever manifests in the real world. And that's called manifesting on purpose. So I want you to I know this is a lot today, but consume it, play it over and over again, write down a couple phrases that really stick out for you, and start to look for people who you see that have really transformed their lives into something that you aspire to. And start looking at how they think, right? Start paying attention to what they say, what they believe. Okay. So I am going to log off here in just a minute, but because I've got a VIP day, I'm so excited. I have a client who just flew in from San Diego, and we're going to spend 5 hours today working on her year, her business, her mindset. And so I'll share a little bit of later on if you're following on Instagram or stories here on Facebook. But I want to drop in the comments the link to come over and join my Facebook group if you like what I've been sharing here and you want more of this. And also, if you are someone that I described in this live today, you're successful, you're driven, you're the one that's typically motivating and inspiring everyone else, and you're ready to have someone hold you accountable, have you think big, or really challenge you, send me a message. My team and I are putting together some incredible intensive weekend, 2-3 day weekend retreats this year, spread throughout the year in beautiful locations, all around increasing your peak performance in whatever it is that you do. So my team is going to be unveiling the big reveal next month, but if you want to be the first to know about it and actually get in a little bit before we announce all that, trust me, that would be to your benefit. Send me a private message and we'll get you some information. So the Facebook group is High Performer Lifestyle. I am going to drop it right here in the comments, and you can come over and join us there if you're not already there. So thank you for joining me here today. My commitment is to be on this page once a week to really deliver some content to you and to make a difference in your day and in your life. And if this did make a difference for you, please let me know in the comments so that I can give you more like this. All right, I just dropped the link to the group. Come on over and join us. Have an incredible rest of the day and have an incredible weekend. Bye.